All right, well, welcome everybody. This is Twins on Tech, episode, I have no idea, 21 maybe?
I think so, yeah.
Yep, I'm Brent. That's Bryce. That's Bryce. I don't know. I guess we need to figure that point out instead of pointing all over the place each time. But
You're
either
always
way,
over here to me, so I think I'm over here to you, I think.
Okay, last time we spoke about, I'm just looking at my levels and they're pretty hot, so I'm trying to push the microphone away. Anyway, we spoke about microphone setups, and you might be able to tell on Bryce's side he's got a few different microphones. One he has used in the past and one he has not. Maybe he'll talk about that here in a few minutes. I really don't have anything right now to kick us off with because I'm using a little bit of a different setup, but I'm interested in finding out. What's that?
I said that's a shock.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and talk about the microphone there? You mentioned last week some about it. What have you learned since, or what are you testing it? How are you testing it?
Well, I guess first I'll just introduce the microphones. I too, as you can probably tell by the angle, am in a slightly different position. I reset up this desk so that I can use it a little more better. But in doing so, the camera's at a weird angle, so you're now a little lower than normal. So I apologize to anybody if it looks like I'm actually looking down below the view. It's because, assuming you're not just listening to it and not even looking at the screen, Brendt is now 6 inches lower than he normally is. So with that, I have these two lovely microphones in front of me. What you're hearing right now, which hopefully is good, is the ElectroVoice RE20. I always have to look this way. I've got them up on my screen here, so don't forget. They're both of these are dynamic cardioid microphones. That means they don't need phantom power, which I think is good because I don't know if the mixture that they're plugged into actually provides phantom power. I don't see a button for it. So either it's always on and potentially always damaging microphones, or it's just like the base model lowest end that doesn't have it. And I think that's what it is. The mixer I'm talking about is a Behringer XENYX 502. So you have a Behringer. Is it a XENYX level?
I believe it is.
Okay.
I believe it is.
And yours is just the bigger one, right? It's like multiple.
Yeah. 12
4 XLRs. Yeah. So that means it's probably 12 channels. This is 5 channels. Although, 5 channels. It's technically 6 because there's a track input, whatever. So I don't know if the ElectroVoice doesn't sound good right now. It's possibly a bad cable. It's possibly a bad mixer, because if I switch over to the audio acoustic, which is, I've mentioned this before, I use it for many of the, what'd I say? Audio acoustic. Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you for that. Audio Technica. I've used it in a few podcasts previously. I still love the microphone. It's really good. This is the ATR 2100 USB microphone, but I'm currently using it again, XLR as well, to go into the mixer. So I'm going to now turn down the ElectroVoice, or EV, as some people call it, and I'm going to turn up this one. Just to give you some idea, by the way, this is only at a quarter volume level, but the channel is plus, I don't know, 50 on the gain side of things. So here we go. I'm going to turn this down.
Are you able to see the levels on the camera? Is that how you're checking that?
No,
or you're just going by what you're seeing on the knobs there?
Totally guessing at the moment. My screen turns off, probably to save battery, although it's plugged into the wall right now. So I'm using the Panasonic app on the iPad, and unfortunately, that doesn't send. I can change almost anything, but it doesn't send the audio level down, which is, it's extremely frustrating to me because, being the all-in-one situation here. But so I've done a lot of tests before we started the call here. I've been doing, 3 or 4, 5, 6, 20 tests. And it's funny because every time it looks like it's at the right level on the LCD, when I listen to it back, it's really hot. So now it's much lower than normal. Not as low as this one normally is when it's plugged directly into the camera, but still pretty low. And I'm hoping that means that the audio here isn't going to be too fleshed out. I'm, by the way, comfortably about 6 inches away from these. I do, out of habit, feel the need to lean in because I'm used to being able to hear myself either in an auditorium or with headphones on. So I'm trying to not do that because these things are sensitive enough that if I lean in, you get quite a bit of a different audio sound out of it. But it's interesting. They sound completely different, which I guess you'd kind of imagine that. This one, I think brand new, $50, $80, somewhere around there. I've seen them on sale for 30, something like that. You look like you're about to fall asleep, by the way.
I feel like I'm about to fall asleep. No, it's not you, though. Don't take it personally.
Oh, sure. It's not you, it's me. That was what's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
The the ElectroVoice. So again, they just call it the RE20. So the RE20, it has, like I said, a completely different sound. If I keep hitting the cord, I apologize. And I thought I put everything in a way that's out of the way, and somehow just kind of popped up. But anyway, so here I'm going to turn this one down again and back up while I'm talking so that you can actually hear the difference. And it's interesting because the sound quality seems about the same, but the tone is completely different. This one has a richer feel. It has maybe more dynamic range than the Audio Technica microphone. Both good in their own right, but this one, and I don't have a pop filter, a spit guard, whatever you want to call it, in front of it now. So hopefully I'm not, all those pleasants or whatever they're called isn't destroying the video, but the sound quality is remarkably different. And a lot of podcasters, like higher end podcasters, they use this mic or the modern day equivalent, which I don't know what that is, but there's a lot of them out there. I think there's the Heil or Heil. There's PR40. There's one that's not showing up here on my screen, but it is one that I laugh every time someone talks about it because it's considered a high-end microphone. I personally can't hear the difference when people do audio comparisons on the internet, and maybe that's just YouTube compression. I don't know. But like as an example, right now on musiciansfriend.com, this microphone is $450. It's an old microphone, and it's possibly still in production. I don't know when these are made. This one is about 30 years old. It's a friend I work with. It's his father's, who was an audio engineer for television network. And he bought it a long time ago, and it still holds up. And if there's any popping or crackling, could be the cable, could be the bad mixer. It also could be just simply the age of the microphone. I don't know. Are you still awake there? All right. You get some coffee or some tea or some Mountain Dew. Do you need something?
Yeah, I nodded my head so people would know I'm alive. Yes.
Is that what that was? Okay. I just figured my soothing voice was putting you to sleep over.
That's right.
But anyways, that microphone, the other one, which of course I can't remember the name. If I remember it while I'm editing this, I'll throw a picture up with the name. But it's like thousands of dollars, $3,000 or $4,000. I watched a drumming video where they were miking some drums. My son's into drumming, and so he wants to, of course, buy a little drum mic kit to plug into a mixer. And being the nerdy dad that I am, that's just a reason to go buy a mixer and mics for the okay. I don't have any money for it right now, but one of these days. So I'm switching, by the way, back to the Audio Technica. So now I'm back on the Audio Technica. But they were comparing a Shure kit, Shure, the brand. It's a 5-mic kit. It's made for drumming. And then they had just a single mic that looked a lot like this, but it was the different company, and which again I can't remember. But that microphone was $6,000. Just the
Crazy.
one microphone, and it was just kind of hanging above the mic or above the drums, the drum kit, acoustic drum kit. And yeah, I mean it sounded great, but again, according to YouTube, they all sounded really the same. So, but if you're into microphones and music and you're an engineer on that level, then you could probably you've trained yourself to hear the differences. I can't hear them. I can hear the tonal differences, the diaphragms are going to be different between these two types of microphones. Just like yours is one that kind of goes in from the side. What did you call that? The
front firing microphone.
Yeah. So this one is a front firing because it goes. Oh, this is the top firing. What do you call that again?
Top firing.
Okay.
Yeah, front firing and top firing. Yeah.
Okay. So this one is you need to talk into the front. You can hear sound. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I guess that was a bad. I'm currently having this one live, so that didn't even do anything. But if that was actually on right now, you would have been able to hear a difference. Here, I'll do that real quick here. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you listening to the EV RE20. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So whatever that sounds like in the video, it doesn't actually reject it. It's not like it's a cardioid, but it's not a super cardioid, so you can kind of get it. And I don't know if the diaphragm is way back here anyways. They claim this is actually also here to pick up some of the room noise and the resonance in the room, that if your room was acoustically balanced properly, this one is not, then it would potentially sound better as well, because that's what you're wanting to hear. They claim something to the point of, if you're sitting in the middle of an orchestra, which would give me a headache if that's where I was sitting. That's kind of what the point is of this. You're going to get the main data, if you will, coming straight down, but then it's still going to pick up some other stuff. So anyway, so hopefully in the video we'll be able to hear the differences if it's not too damaged. I had to keep lowering it and lowering it. Again, I'm at a quarter of the volume for this guy, about 3/4 for this one. And on the mixer itself, the main output is about 2/3 out.
And you're recording that into what?
Directly into the camera. No backup here today, buddy. So I hope it sounds good. With that said,
yeah. So you're,
all right,
you're recording
I'm going
both
back to
microphones. You have both microphones going into a single mixer, so you have a single source of audio going into the camera. Is that what you're saying?
Right. So every time I go to make a change, I have to do it on the mixer, and then it's making a solid change on. I thought I put it over here on the camera. I was going to use what I showed last week, the little standalone Tascam recorder, because I can have two separate inputs, and then just use the lavalier as the third microphone, because that's been working, so I could guarantee I have some sort of audio, but I didn't. I don't have an excuse. I just didn't do it. But that's really all I have today. I'd like to discuss this monitor that I have, but it's off camera. One of these days I'll aim it over this direction. This is the Dell 43-inch monitor that has multiple inputs in the back, and I can display 4 inputs at one time, or a singular 4K image, which is what I'm doing now from a 27-inch iMac. So maybe next week we can talk about that, and then how I use it here at work for all the stuff that I do. I think I've leaned in a little bit, so I might have gotten slightly louder. I'm scared. Hope the audio is not crap. But hey, at least it's not just audio, no video. Ha.
I don't know what you're referring to.
Neither do I. I don't even know why I would say that. So anyways, that's it for me. Anything pop into your head while I was jabbering on about this ridiculous stuff?
No, not really. Although just a little, I don't know if clarity is the right word regarding when you did the little test and you weren't actually using that microphone. Some people will not fully understand what's happening. We record these basically solid straight through. And so as you noticed, if you watched this last week's, the one before last week, episode 19, I think it was, or 18. I don't know. I've lost track at this point. Early on, and I've already lost track. Nice. Where my video was gone, and then therefore Bryce decided to leave the entire video gone for the remainder, the second half of the video.
19. That
was my fault. I'll take the blame anyway. It was the hardware issues that took place over here. But again, we're not okay. Pause. Let's do this again. The times that we have done that, or again, because I'm using the Canon, and today I'm using the Canon again, they only record for 30 minutes at a time, 29 minutes and 29 or 59 seconds. And so then it'll just stop recording. So if we've gone long, then there's that pause and we stitch it together, but it's still effectively one single setting. So when Bryce did that, that's why, you know, under most circumstances, a production would merely cut that out and it would be seamless, or you'd see, you know, I'd be sitting this way and then all of a sudden I'd be sitting this way. It's solid straight through. And so it's just a little, again, some background information. Right now, the first how many episodes have been us essentially trying to get our act together and giving background information. I think a lot of people would, so far not yet, but eventually maybe a lot of people will be interested in this type of thing. I like listening to people ramble on and go over what they're working on with their settings, even if it doesn't apply and isn't something that would help me. But I just figured I would mention that it's pretty well straight through. If you see a video under 30 minutes, it's pretty well straight through, and we edit it together as quick and easy as we can. At least I'm going to say that. Bryce does the total editing, the final editing. I just toss my mess together in either LumaFusion on the iPad Pro or iMovie on my old MacBook Pro. So completely sufficient for tossing a single line of audio under a video, getting them lined up. And then I use Handbrake to compress them so that I'm not sending 4 gigabytes over the intolerable internet here in the country in Kentucky where I live. But that Kentucky is a country. I live in the country in Kentucky.
I was homeschooled. What country you live in? I'm in Kentucky.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the only thing that kind of came to mind as you were talking, but I didn't want to cut you off earlier. Yeah.
No, that's okay. I appreciate it. I think it's one of the reasons why we continue to have, assuming again that the audio is okay and that everyone can hear me, but kind of the same thing for you as well. Why some people might call them problems. I complained where I work here a lot about how sometimes when we're testing something, it's live. We're doing a live test. We don't have the privilege of a clean room with a clean, in our case, network set up where we can then push out software and see how well it's going to work or if it's going to destroy the planet. We just have to go, well, what school are we going to potentially destroy this week? And, it's a card game, and you pull a number out of a hat and, all right, here you go. School number 1. We're going to be pushing out some software. Here's our phone number if it doesn't work. Sometimes everything's great, sometimes not. So how does that apply with us? Well, today's an example with you recording on the Canon in your car when you think you're in focus, or when you're using your iPad with the new software, Filmic Pro, which is, people have recorded movies with that, admittedly probably not in 30-minute increments, probably 1 minute, 30 seconds. So, whatever these clips are that they put together.
Right.
Me today with the audio, all of this is just on the fly. We're testing live for the quality. I would really like one of these daisies to be able to just have a setup, maybe at my house, just like yours is there, that it's just locked in. That's all it is. Whether it's an old iPhone, because I've got a couple old ones at home, and that becomes what I'm recording with instead of the Panasonic. So I'm not going to buy another Panasonic. I've got some friends who have ones, GX85s and stuff. I mean, if they want to get rid of it for a crazy good deal, maybe, because it's a GX85 is the really small version, kind of what I have. So, maybe one of these days I'll lock in something, you'll lock in something, and then we'll have these anomalies where we're doing some testing or something, or we can roll in B footage where we are doing tests, but that doesn't break up the constant flow of quality that we will eventually, potentially, hopefully, maybe have.
Right.
But at the same time, I kind of like this. This is why I like this. I like just hanging out, kind of talking with you, although it's 2,000 miles away, whatever it is. But it also gives me the ability to play with these things. And like I said, he brought it in. He knew that I was kind of playing with some stuff, and he had access to it. He brought it in. He also brought in this, which unfortunately I can only get working on Windows. Oh, it's It's the DigiDesign M-Box 2 Mini. It's made by, well, DigiDesign, but it's made for Pro Tools, audio tool, audio software. This one, there's no date on it, unfortunately, but it is, I think it was made in 2005, so it's a little old. They stopped updating their drivers in 2014. Fortunately, Windows, is as archaic as they are, things still work, many years later. The same driver still works many years later. It doesn't work on the Mac. I'm on High Sierra on my Mac, although the Mac is a 2011 Mac. The OS is newer, so the drivers don't work. But even with Windows 10, this thing does work. And this guy, that's why I'm thinking if this doesn't sound good right now, that it's either the cable, it is a different cable. Nope, that's actually incorrect. It's the same cable that I used into this. So it might be the mixer or the cable going into the camera, because what this does is basically it's a USB interface. If you can see the back there, slightly out of focus, but it is has a singular XLR input and then a line input that can also be used as a direct input, a direct line. And the reason you have that is because there's a pad button. Sometimes things come in too hot. There's no response from the camera. Redo the Wi-Fi settings on the camera or move to a location where the wireless reception is okay. So hopefully we're still recording over here. I'll keep jabbering on as if we are. So this is one of the things about how we're testing. This has never happened before, but I'm using the Panasonic app, not the other app that I normally use. So
Right.
we'll see if that's a problem.
Glad it's not just me this time.
That's
Yeah.
right.
We'll
Yeah.
find out. Maybe I did something again.
So anyways, it has that. And then, of course, basically the volume levels in the front. It does provide phantom power, which these do not need. But the RE20 sounded great into the computer at many volumes, although I had to have it cranked with this mixer because the mixer has gain. Now you have other things to control. That's another thing I want to have. If everything is locked in as a setup, I'd like to have probably not the Behringer, but maybe an Alto or some other Yamaha smaller one that also has USB in and out, so that things can work a little better, hopefully. But
All right.
well, I'm scared now about the video. It might still be recording. I have no idea. Screen's still black. Normally, if it drops out, the screen turns on and I can see stuff. But I don't know.
You have does that camera have a screen that you could flip up and see? Like on my Canon, I'm looking at the monitor.
Yeah.
But it's only 2 inches, but I can at least see that there's a red dot, and even with my old man eyes, I can see the countdown up there.
I have it so that the screen does not turn off when I'm recording, but I think when you connect through the Wi-Fi app,
Okay.
it overrides that setting because the screen usually turns off after about 60 seconds to a minute. So I guess we'll find out. So,
Yeah.
Anywho, anything else? Anything you want to talk about later on? I'm going to talk about the monitor here. I've already talked about this guy, assuming it all works. If all this crashes and burns, then maybe I'll do a small separate video. I would really love a video either in with all of the setup or separate of the Saramonic device that you have.
Yeah. I still want to do a comparison with this Yeti, which is what I'm using today. The newer, there we go. It's up my swivel. I just punched the microphone. This newer microphone, NW800 that we talked about in a previous episode. I do still want to replace the lav mic that I burnt up. I'm going to try not to burn it up the next one. And include in that video the Saramonic. Although, like I said, with this, I'll have to use the Saramonic. But I do have a long cable. I'm just trying to think of where it is. I thought it was right here, but it's not. That I can show it and it still be connected because I'll be using it. I'm trying to, again, avoid using the mixer because I think that's part of the audio problems over here. I also want to test, as you mentioned, using old phones. This is an old busted iPhone 5, I think. I'm showing it at an angle so that they can see. I don't know. You might be able to see
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah.
how busted up it is. For audio purposes, using the TRRS into that. Excuse me. Pardon me. As well as an old iPhone 6 or something to do the recording on. Just like you mentioned, get something set that's super simple to get active and get working. The downside, again, to use the iPhone is I would still be back at using maybe the iPad Mini 2 that I've been using as a monitor for it. It's been fine. It worked last time. We had about a 30-minute video approximately. It recorded it. It didn't drop. But it's kind of a pain. I like using I just keep punching this microphone. I like using the iPad Pro because it has plenty of space. The camera's great on it, really. And I like Filmic Pro, but really all I need is something that'll give me 1080p. And we're going on YouTube, so it doesn't need to be stellar. So
you compress yours quite a bit anyways before you send it over to me. So it's getting compressed 3 times. You're compressing it, I'm compressing it, and then YouTube's compressing it again. So
yeah, even before it gets to you, it's coming out of the camera or wherever. So that's doing its native compression as it records it. It goes into iMovie and it does whatever and sends it out again. So there's another compression, even though it's not making it small. It's still doing some jazz to the bits. I don't know. Is that a term?
It jazzes those bits all up.
Sure. And then the handbrake compression, which swishes the mess out of it, and then send like you mentioned, in whatever you do to it, and then YouTube. So maybe even 4 or 5 times. So starting out it may be that I need the better video quality. I think I like the video quality coming out of the camera. I also like it as it came out of the iPad. But that iPad's a beast. That 12.9-inch iPad I have it right here. The mount that I was using, it holds it, but if you tap it.
Oh, that's the same one. I just bought that one. Yeah.
Yeah. When it's down here, if it gets tapped, then the iPad could be like, whee, little wobble.
Yeah.
Because it's just that small little base. It's not like one of those big X things or something that holds onto the corner of the iPad. And you're still, just like with anything on a camera, on a tripod, is only that one mount at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think the what do you call it, tripod that I have is good.
Yeah.
I put the iPad on it. But it's only, I think I paid $50 for this one at Best Buy. So I don't have anything, and it is the most expensive and most rigid tripod I have outside of these big things here that are made to hold big speakers. And I've actually thought about making some mounts for that and kind of using that because that's a big beast. I could put all kinds of stuff on that thing. Anyway, so those are the things that I'm working towards, but it'll be a while before I get to all of that mess because, again, time-wise, I only have so much time to really do all that stuff. But
and that's why I wish you had more time. Because I wish you'd be able to even do maybe a test on your mixer to see your troubleshooting steps. Is that the actual problem? Is it not? I know I was using a Yamaha 16-channel mixer, and every time it was one of those that slides up and down. Every time we would do that, and so one of the pots was bad. We had to send it in. Fortunately, we were within 30 days of the end of the warranty, so they allowed us to send it in and get it repaired, which was nice. But and it was only after about 2 years. So it was a 3-year warranty, so 2.5 years, 2 3/4, whatever it was.
I'm at 29, by the way.
Was that?
I'm at 29.11 is what I'm saying now.
Okay. Well, there you go. So let's end it there. But if you get some time to squeeze out that thing, the mixer test, Ceremonic and whatever else. But other than that, looks like we're going to see you guys later on.
Take care.
Ciao.